and welcome back to the Toy Office. I'm your host, John, and this week we're going to be covering something at the recommendation of my Cryptopedia co-host, Brandon, Transmetal Rattrap in all of his forms. So a Transmetal is a transformer who is hit by the quantum surge from the destruction of the Vok Planet Buster, which is a long story. It's the Earth's second moon in Beast Wars, which is a spoiler in itself. You're going to have to watch other voices to learn a little bit more about that, so just watch it. It's really good. It's from the end of the first season of Beast Wars. Highly recommended. Aftermath, the episode immediately after that, is really good too, so make sure you watch that too. And while you're at it, maybe just watch all of Beast Wars. I think that's probably the best option. Just watch all of Beast Wars, okay? So the surge affected a number of members of the main cast, including Optimus Primal, Megatron, Tarantulas, Cheetor, my boy, and of course, Rattrap. So in reality, this whole transmetalization process was something that Hasbro did for marketing's sake. They replaced some of the favorite characters with new toys that would basically ensure that they got sold on the market. And they just gave us these really absolutely gorgeous toys. And I'm much happier with them doing this than killing off most of the main cast like they did in the Transformers movie. So that being said, some members of the main cast were in fact killed off during this transmetalization process. That includes Pterosaur and Scorponok, who actually died in the process of becoming Transmetals, which is kind of awful. Pterosaur did get a Transmetal toy, and Scorponok got a McDonald's toy as a Transmetal, so yay. So, interesting fact about this Rattrap is I actually skipped it as a kid, which is less skipping and more nobody bought it for me, because I didn't ask for it, really. The things I was asking for was like Cheetor, Optimus Primal, Megatron, those guys, because I enjoyed those guys a little bit more than Rattrap. Sorry, Rattrap, you're great. I love you. I named a hamster after you. But your basic toy was just good enough for me when I was growing up. I didn't need the deluxe. I'm sorry. So Rattrap comes in 3 flavors: Coke, Diet Coke, and Pepsi, which is really show accurate, Fox Kids, Walmart. Actually, there's 3 other versions of this mold. 2 variations on the show accurate colors, one from Japan and one from 10th anniversary, which I really didn't see the point in buying. And then there's a 4th color scheme, which is Puzzle Rattle, I want to say. It came with a 500-piece puzzle. It was only available in Japan. I've only seen it once, so if anyone knows where I can get one for less than a mortgage payment on my house, let me know, because there's a part of me that kind of wants to get it, because I kind of like the way these guys look together, and I think a white and orange one would look pretty good in this. Okay, so enough about the history of this toy. Let's talk about the toy itself, because that's the reason you're probably watching this video, let's be honest. So Rattrap is a fairly chunky boy. He's a bit thicker than some of his contemporary deluxes, but I kind of love him for that, although it does give him some problems standing up, because these feet have a tendency to just kind of give out on you, and he'll fall over because his backpack holds a lot of weight, which honestly, I like the backpack. Usually I don't, but in this particular case, I think it's kind of fun. So, sporting a pair of snarling rat pauldrons, a shredded 6-pack, exposed brain, and a scowl that reminds me of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. So the mold has some wonderful details that really embellish and embrace the techno-organic nature of the Transmetal mutation. Particularly this exposed gut down here, which I like quite a bit, and some of these lines on the chest that make him look absolutely powerful, with some additional lines on the arms that just kind of make it less boring to look at somehow. The paint on this guy is great in robot mode. I love the gradient of blue here, the vibrant oranges for the exposed brain, and this chest piece thing here that I don't really know what it's supposed to be. And quite frankly, his eyes are really good on the face. They pop, and he's got a nice blue on the head that just really goes well together. And the teeth are even, I think, no, the teeth are not painted. They just look painted on the video. While a bit oversized, the detailing on these rat pauldrons are phenomenal. They have silver paint that somehow manages to color match with the actual plastic that they use for the arms. I don't know how. It's really close, and in person, it's almost indistinguishable. It might not be as easy to pick up on camera, but it's really good, and I'm very impressed by Hasbro doing that. So the face itself has some really nice bits and pieces, really nice lines, a bit of techno-organic nature stuff going on in here, but we'll get into that when we actually get into the beast mode. So Rattrap has some decent articulation. He's got a swivel for his head, a ball joint on the arm for the shoulder, a swivel at the bicep, and a hinge joint at the elbow. Not much else there, but for a toy made in 1985, it's fairly standard. So Rattrap has no hip motion or anything like that, mainly because he has a backpack, which is hooked up to him permanently, and you can't really do much about that because he actually pegs into the bottom here. The legs have a ball joint for the hip with a knee and a thigh swivel, I guess, and the feet can move up and down, although that kind of is a detriment because, as I said before, maybe, I don't know if I cut it out, he does have a tendency to just fall over because of the backpack weight. His weapon is a fairly well-articulated whip. I actually really like this whip. It's pretty phenomenal. You can do some fun shapes with it. It's a good whip. And it actually becomes his tail in robot and vehicle mode. So how about that? At this point, because I'm looking at the whip and I'm showing you the vacuum metal that Transmetals are known for, I kind of have to address the eczemic elephant in the room. Transmetal Rattrap's vacuum metal is very well known for flaking. This one has some pretty bad flaking going on the tail, which has really phenomenal detailing. And if you can imagine this when it didn't have the spider webbing, it would be really beautiful. But unfortunately, you're hard-pressed to find a Transmetal Rattrap that doesn't have this webbing anymore. And, you know, let's just flip him over just so I can show you the bad stuff. Ooh, that's bad. Transmetal Rattrap, he's one of the more infamous cases of the Transmetal rot, kind of. The vacuumized metal on the Transmetals has like some kind of defect in them, which causes them to peel off really bad. Actually, while I'm doing this video, I don't know if you can see it, I'm getting bits and pieces of the vacuum metal onto my fingertips. And every time I transform these guys, they get a little less shiny, which is always unfortunate, but, you know. So moving to his Moldmates, both the Walmart and the Fox Kids versions have identical articulation and identical like mold detailing. So let's look at the Walmart guy first. A few things to note. The orange has been replaced by a bright green. The blue on the face and the blue on the gradient on the chest has been replaced with this kind of vibrant yellow. Green here instead of the orange before. Eyes are now red. The scowl is still pretty amazing. Additionally, he's got these little bits on the side of his leg, which the original had, although it was in blue. I don't think I showed you that. His gray pieces of plastic has been cast in this like kind of light blue, and the silver pieces have now been cast in like a darker kind of tannish color almost. So overall, it's basically the same figure. It's just got some color detail changes. This blue Transmetal vacuumized metal stuff with green accenting instead of the red with pink. Mine's a lot better shape for the overall chroming on it, but you know, it's really a caveat emptor. Every single one of these has a chrome flake date. I don't know when this guy's is going to be, but so far he's been pretty good. So the Fox Kids Rattrap, much of the same. It's just a repaint. They changed the molding of the plastic for the rat body. They changed this to be a slightly deeper version of that blue, and it's more of like a grayish than a silver. The head and chest bit here are a green, although it's like a slightly more like light green, I guess I would say. It's closer to yellow than it is to the green on that one. They've got a bit of brown or orange going on the chest, which I kind of like a lot. And the face has some orange detailing for the sides. Eyes are once again red. And the side of this is also red. The Transmetal on this guy is a little bit better than the original, but he's also starting to show signs of wear, and we'll get to that more in the beast mode. So without further ado, let's transform this guy into beast mode. Now, I'm going to transform this guy first, and I'll probably jump cut and transform those two as well. So let's just move quickly. The first thing you're going to want to do is fold these kind of out of the way a little bit. The head, now you'll notice there's like a slight tab on my version of this Rattrap that clocks it into place. This is a running change, and there is a version that doesn't have it, but I literally don't care about finding that because it only changes the transformation. I find the version that locks into place to be a lot better because, quite frankly, it holds it in place better. So we're going to just tuck that in, and we're going to take his body up and fold it up like so. Make sure to tuck the head all the way in. So when you fold the body up, it's sitting there in the torso. This is the rub sign for Beast Wars Rattrap. You can see there he is a Maximal. Really fun. I've always loved these things, although some of them don't work as well as others, but what are you going to do? Next, I'm going to fold up his arm like so. Turn it around. and pop it into place. This is a part where I always screwed up the first time I transform for a while because I'll always try to do it wrong, and it's always very stupid. Next, I'm going to move his arm down. So on a hinge right here, or a swivel, or whatever you want to call it. Just going to rotate that out, like so. So it's set in like that, and we're going to push the arm to about there. We'll get back to that in a second. As far as this part of the torso goes, we're going to fold his waist up, like so. So now his legs are kind of sitting on him like that. And to get this to fit properly, we're going to rotate these around and just kind of tuck it in so it sits as close to flush with the legs as possible. Now, there's this thing you can do where you can tab these onto these bits, but I found if you kind of just flatten it as much as possible, you're going to get a better effect for your rat mode. So just do that. Then you're going to close the head up. You'll notice that they're on two ball joints, and there's a male and a female side. So let's just clip those together. Head's done. The rat mode front legs, you just kind of twist them into place until they're good. You do that for both sides. Doesn't need to be perfect because that is an articulating portion of the rat mode. And then we're going to pop the legs out. All right, so we're almost there. You can plug these on, as I said before, but I like to leave them off because they tend to not work as well when they're plugged in. And he's almost done. We just need to take his rat tail. So one of my favorite details about Transmetal Rattrap here is that he doesn't have a designated place to put this on his butt. He holds it in his robot mode's hand, like so. And his robot mode just kind of is like, yeah, I got a tail. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. And it's great. I love it. He's phenomenal. He's a beautiful little rat. So real quick, I'm just going to transform these two, and I'll get right back to you. So much like his robot mode, Rattrap has a fairly chunky rat mode, and I adore it. Absolutely. It's gorgeous. It's so... there's something about it that's very, very satisfying. He's got a gorgeously detailed head that you can see, like little bits of mold detailing there to kind of show that the mouth is snarling. He's got the snarl a mile wide. Some really nice techno-organic bits in his face and his ear bits. Nice, vibrant green eyes on the original. I particularly like the hosing here that you can see that kind of really accentuates the whole techno-organic thing. As I said before, the years have really not been kind to the vacuum metal on this guy, although most of him holds up pretty well, actually. The little feet are kind of fun. He's got a tiny bit of articulation if you do that. Tiny bit of articulation there. The tail's fairly well articulated, but that's about it. A little bit of orange detailing, picking out some of the bits. And he also has this really cool tampograph that says Rattrap on his butt. Interesting note, the metals version of this will say Cybertron, just to let you know. If you ever are looking into getting one of these, if you want the metals version, check for Cybertron. I don't have one, so I don't have that. Overall, pretty fun. Looks good. It feels good. It's a really satisfying toy. I really can't blame it because it's very show accurate, like stupidly show accurate. His underside's a little bit weird, and this hand thing's fun, but, you know, what are you going to do? So before I get them in their transport mode, let me just show you their color schemes. They're basically the same, as you can see here. For the most part, there's no changes. Rattrap is still tampographed on the back. Vacuum metal is much nicer on both of these, although this one's starting to show spider webbing and this one is not. Both of them have a fair amount of chipping because you're not going to get away from chipping on vacuum metal from the 90s anymore. If you find a Rattrap without vacuum metal decay, good on you. Just know that you're not going to have that forever. But yeah, I like this mold in general. I think it's a fun mold. I think it has a lot of good playability in terms of just the way it is. It's nice and chunky. And when the vacuum metal's good, it's phenomenal. But when it's bad, it's very distracting. Okay, so Rattrap has one more mode because he is transmetal, and all transmetals come with at least one transport mode. So let me just show you how to do that really quick. So the first thing I like to do is fold up these feet. It can be tricky sometimes because of clearance issues. Although I found that this one is the easiest of my three, so that's why I'm showing you how to do it on this one. After you fold the feet like that, you're going to pull the legs out and fold the back feet up, like so. And then you're going to pull these out so they're roughly perpendicular to the torso, so you can kind of see there. That one needs to go out a little more. He's basically like a sports car or a drag racer or something like that. Fold the tail out. You don't have to do this, but it's kind of fun because in the Awakening episode of Beast Wars, he did this and tripped Megatron, which was really, really funny. It's still funny to this day. I'm a child, by the way. We're going to take his exhaust ports, flip them out, and then just put them down. And there we go. We have Transport Mode Rattrap. He actually rolls pretty good. Last night he was not rolling great, and I was a little bit concerned about that, but he's actually a pretty fun rolling toy. Huh, how about that? The other two can do it as well, and I'm going to just take them off camera and do that real quick. Okay, and there we go. Transmetal Rattrap in his kind of like hot rod mode. I absolutely love this toy. It's just so much fun. All three of them look beautiful, even with the paint wear. The interior detailing, once you pull the legs away, are great. A little bit of green on the Fox Kids version and the Walmart version, and I believe it's an orange. Yeah, it's an orange on the original, and it looks so nice. There's not really much else I could say. It doesn't really change too much from the core Beast mode, but it's fun. You can roll it around, and the thing I like about Transmetals the most is they kind of capture my imagination. So Rattrap is a really fun toy. I can't recommend him enough. He's got great paint apps in all three of his incarnations, with this being actually a fairly show-accurate detailing of him. The gimmick is fun. He's got a fun little accessory here, and his robot mode is not too bad, to be totally honest. That being said, he does have this chrome problem, as I've mentioned many times in this video, and I will say, if you're looking to get one of these, I generally recommend getting like the Fox Kids or the Walmart one, just because they seem to be a little bit better in terms of chrome wear. I don't know how the metals are. If anyone's got any inside line on that, let me know. But for around $20, he's one of the better Beast Wars Deluxes, and I can't recommend him enough. That being said, his chrome will wear eventually, and I'm just going to throw it to Rattrap, let you hear it from the horse's mouth as to what's going to happen to all this chrome.
Oh, great! We're all gonna die!
It happens.
Okay, so that's been Toy Office. I hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe, give me a like, all that good stuff. Thank you, Brandon, for the idea for this episode. Make sure you listen to Cryptopedia, where I talk to Brandon about cryptids. It's a little bit more for adults, so if you're a kid or someone who is a little bit more sensitive to cursing and things along those lines, and some blue-collar jokes, maybe don't give it a listen, but if you're okay with that, by all means. If you're interested in my content, you can follow me on Twitter at JFDunham. Instagram is Mew2057. So, as always, it's okay to bring a toy to work, especially if it's Transmetal Rattrap. Bye!